Hi everybody, it's January 21st when I'm making this. There's a brave new world both here at Transport Evolved and in the wider world. And this is a video that we're going to produce really quickly and throw out pretty quickly. It's not like the video we published early this week on Sunday/Monday where we talked about influence in the political world and how automakers are buying political influence. That's the representative of the type of video that we want to make more of going forwards, not in terms of the subject matter, but in terms of the quality and the editing time that those kind of videos require. And I'm going to talk about that today. But I'm also going to talk to you about some changes that have been going on in the US. Obviously, it was the presidential inauguration yesterday. Something happened involving one of the EV world's most easily recognizable figures that we need to talk about. But all of that is going to be difficult to do in a studio setting. It's a nice, bright, cold, crisp day. And I wanted to give you an update on HEMA, our Vectrix VX-1 as well. So I thought, why not combine the two, give you some eye candy, talk about the bike, talk about some of the changes that we're going to be making to the bike, because I have some big project updates on that. And also talk about some less pleasant stuff too. So for about a year and a half now, I've owned this bike. This is HEMA. It's a VX-1, Vectrix VX-1. It was made in 2006, 2007. This bike is surprisingly low mileage. One of our bike's former owners actually still watches the channel, so hi. And there have been other videos on the channel about things that we've done to the bike. I switched the brakes back when the bike left the factory. The front brake was here and the rear brake was here, and then somebody at some point switched them around. I have now put them back to factory condition, which, as far as I'm concerned, makes it a little safer to use. It doesn't have a foot pedal, although I'd like to add one. But back at the end of 2023, this bike suffered a pretty catastrophic failure for its battery pack. The battery pack stopped working, the bike stopped charging, it started doing weird things. For the last few months, the bike has been sat underneath my porch. I've been trying to get these batteries charged again. And then towards the end of last year, around about Christmas, Kate was actually down filming a review and we smelled burning. And it turns out that even though the bike was off, the temperature sensors were short-circuiting and had started to burn. And I'd literally just snipped the cables and removed the circuit to prevent that from happening. And I also disconnected the main traction battery pack here. But today I'm going to start taking the battery pack out while telling you about some of the other stuff that's been going on. So for those who don't know, the Vectrix battery pack is a modular battery pack. It's nickel metal hydride cells. Each cell, they have these tiny little modules that just lift out. Looks like I have to undo one here, but since I don't need the thermistor, I'm actually going to cheat and just pull the wire off. So this is what the batteries look like. They're little nickel metal hydride cells. They are 15 years old now. And because I live in the Pacific Northwest, they have stink bugs on them. Joy. You can see here that there's kind of this blue-green gunk on it, and this blue-green gunk is oxidization of the linking bus bars. So that's not good, but that's the first one out. So originally, the nickel metal hydride battery packs were pretty robust. They lasted a pretty long time. But their energy capacity is not great, and by modern EV standards they're a bit pants. Now if you've watched this channel, previous updates on this channel about the bike, you'll know that I was looking into the possibility of putting a larger capacity, more modern battery pack in, one out of a Nissan Leaf or perhaps a Volkswagen based lithium ion battery pack. Unfortunately, The battery that is commonly used in Europe on these bikes is out of a Volkswagen ID.3, and it's the lowest capacity, the 58 kilowatt hour version. And while you can buy Volkswagen ID battery packs here in North America, they're internally wired differently. So in Europe, you can get a 12P2S variant. So two cells sorry, that's the wrong way around. A 2P12S. So 12 in series and 2 packs in parallel. Over here, they do the 8P3S, which has a different voltage. And while I could kind of open the pack up and probably modify it, that's not particularly fun. So I'm going to use Nissan Leaf cells. And the original Nissan Leaf battery cells do fit, as do cells from the 30 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf and cells from the 40 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf. So I can choose, any number of different options to put those cells on. The problem is that getting cells from a 40 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf, which would give me the best range, they're A, very expensive, and B, quite difficult to get hold of. I think I have a source, but if I can't find a source for them, I'm just going to put 24 or 30 kilowatt hour Leaf cells in this. It will give me maybe 9 kilowatt hours of energy on paper, maybe usable about 7 because those cells are going to be aged. But 7 kilowatt hours of usable storage in this bike is far better than the probably 2.5 to 3 to 4 kilowatt hours that this bike had in when it stopped working completely. The other thing I'm going to be doing is I've decided that I'm going to be buying a more modern charger. The charger is under this panel right here at the front of the bike. And the original bike came with, I think, a 1.3, 1.4 kilowatt charger. I can buy a 3.3 kilowatt charger, or if I'm feeling fancy, I can buy 2 and daisy chain them together for 6 kilowatts of charging capability, which in a bike with like a 10 kilowatt hour battery pack means ridiculously fast charging. And it means that I can maybe do longer distance trips as long as I've got access to a J1772 or Tesla destination charger. I've undone the second level of batteries on this side. Now let's talk about some of the less pleasant stuff that happened. So yesterday in the United States, we got a new president. Donald Trump is yet again president of the United States. And some people celebrated that. Some people were scared about that. But throughout the campaign, there was a lot said to distance the Donald Trump election campaign from Project 2025, which was effectively an organization that came up with a plan to shape America as a Christian nationalist nation. Now, I'm not going to dig too deep into that, but one of the things that program focused on was removing trans rights. And on day one, Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that removing the legal recognition of gender and saying that the only thing that the federal government will note is sex, specifically sex assigned at birth. Now, it didn't actually say that. It went through and made some screw-ups. And those screw-ups have led to some interesting theories online. The screw-ups mean that what they actually wrote was based off of gametes. I'm not going to go into the science, but for reasons, if you are a scientist, you will find that amusing, especially if you're a biologist. Anyway, that does mean, potentially, that some of the team members at Transport Evolved are now, we now have a target on our head. And some of our most nasty commenters have made some not so thinly veiled threats in our direction about what they will or won't do. And as a team, as the person who runs the channel, I have to protect the team. So we're making some changes. Some things are not changing. We have done some internal hardening, let's call it that, to make sure that the team can remain safe and to make sure that the team isn't put in a difficult, risky situation. I don't know if this means we're going to be able to leave the country and come back in. There's also changes based on immigrants. There's also attempted attacks on same-sex marriage, which could impact, again, team members who are married to same-sex partners. Whether that will impact our immigration status or not, I don't know. I am an American citizen. Kate Walton-Elliott is an American citizen, so I don't know. But as you have been watching the channel for a while, I'm sure some of you have been picking up on some hints that I've been dropping about actually being a Canadian citizen. My mother is Canadian. I was born in the UK. I am therefore technically also a Canadian citizen. And I am in the process of obtaining my proof of Canadian citizenship so that at least in the future, if things here get impossible for us to exist, if laws are passed down that make our marriage null and void, if they try and renege my citizenship based on the fact that I moved here as a spouse of a US citizen, then we have options. But for now, we plan on staying and just making sure that we're safe. We've also removed ourselves from Facebook. We made a post about that a couple of weeks back. We talked about removing ourselves from Facebook to protect the team, and that's primarily because Facebook has changed its moderation policies and explicitly made it okay to target LGBTQIA plus individuals and call them all kinds of names, and for that to be okay. We don't think that's okay, and so we have removed ourselves from the platform. But we are on Mastodon. We are on Discord, and our Discord community is growing at an incredible rate. So, as I say at the end of 10 every week, existence is resistance. Anyway, let's turn our attention back to the bike. So, the number of stink bugs in here is actually, it's kind of funny. We get a lot of stink bugs in the Pacific Northwest, and I didn't think that we would have as many kind of trying to set up shop in the bike, but apparently they have. Now, luckily for me, this last lot looks like I might actually just be able to pull this out as a whole. So, as you can see, there's 3 layers of cells. They've got this rod holding them together. The rod is kind of fun because part of it is threaded and part of it is not. But you can see that that tape around there. With that out, hopefully I can pull this module back and we'll be able to see a little bit more as what's going in and the space available for the lithium-ion cells. Here we go. There we are. Now, oh wow, there is a lot of, wow. Well, I think I now know why the bike broke. I don't know if you can see this, and I'll get our DP to focus in on this in a second, but there's some really nasty broken circuitry here. It looks like there was all of this cabling just completely broke. And I'm really lucky the bike is in one piece because it looks like all of this battery management thermistor stuff all failed, started to catch fire. And that's probably where a lot of the smoke that I was smelling, or the kind of the electrical burning smell, was coming from this because of the high level of corrosion here. So I'm honestly very, very lucky. So we got everything out, and I'm kind of glad that I had a look because this board is toast. It's not working. Now I know why the bike wasn't actually working properly and why it was throwing error messages. So let's get this out. This is 3 layers, so 1, 2, 3 layers of nickel metal hydride cells. It's heavy. This is about 2 kilowatt hours based on the original capacity of the battery pack. I'm going to cheat. I'm actually going to lift this out in one go. Please don't do this. It's kind of heavy. Oh, yes, that's heavy. But now, the bike is super light and super movable, and we can put in the lithium ion cells from a Nissan Leaf in here. So the cells will go in like that. There's enough room to fit 1 row of cells in, 18 cells, which gives me, it's almost perfectly set up because it gives me like the 140 or 150 volt-ish, I think between 125 and 150 volts nominal that this bike needs to operate. I can't remember the exact voltage, please forgive me. But everything else in here looks pretty good. There is a potential need for me to replace some cabling here. But other than that, the rest of this all looks good, which is great because I was genuinely worried that the main controller board, which is right here, was also damaged. So I know I need a new charger. That is going to be ordered shortly. I also need to put a new battery pack in. How am I going to pay for that? Well, one of you kind viewers has made a not insignificant donation to the channel. And we decided, what with everything else going on right now, that the smart thing would be to try and get this bike back on the road. Partly because I need a win. Partly because we as a team need a win. And partly because riding is good for my mental health. And right now, America's not a particularly fun, happy place to be for folks like us. And so getting this back on the road, rebuilding it, celebrating that fact is something that we want to do. Now, the charging unit is on its way, shall we say. I haven't technically ordered it yet, but I've talked to the specialist in Europe who specially modifies a currently in production charging module that you can modify and put in this bike that will talk to the control units here and the control units here to make sure that it will operate as it should. I'm probably also going to modify the motor controller with a new sensor that is a little bit more advanced than the one that the bike came from the factory with. And the other thing that I absolutely need to do is repair the brake light. So the brake light on this bike in 2007 was so advanced. It's got a fully integrated circuit with LED lights, very, very powerful LED lights that operate both as a rear marker but also as a brake light. And unfortunately, the brake lights no longer work and the rear lights no longer work. And it's a fairly commonly known problem with these bikes. It's an issue with, I believe, a transistor that can fail. And as long as you have a reasonable soldering skills, which I have, I should be able to repair it and get it working again. Taking that light off is a whole nother video. I'm not going to do that right now. But I have actually taken the batteries out to prove that progress is being made. And once I order the charging unit, I can't decide whether I'm going to go with a 3.3 or a 6.6 kilowatt setup. I will then look out for batteries. I already have a local company to me offering to work with me with some older Leaf cells that won't give me a great range. But if I buy the charger and the battery management unit, I can then upgrade the batteries later down the line with newer, more capable Leaf cells and not really have to modify anything. Now I've done a bit of battery stuff. Let's talk about the other thing that needs to be talked about, and that is Mr. Elon Musk and his behaviour at Donald Trump's inauguration yesterday. So Elon Musk pulled a salute that was extremely similar, some might say identical, to a salute that is being used by neo-Nazis around the world, by neo-Nazis in the US, by neo-Nazis in Germany. It involved putting his right hand on his left chest and then holding it up at a 45-degree angle with his palm outstretched. And many people have identified that that is a fascist Nazi salute. And an equally large number of people are jumping in to defend Elon Musk. And we recently said on the channel that we will not allow defense of what was blatantly a Nazi salute on our channel in our comments. If you wish to get banned from our Discord chat room or you wish to get banned from our YouTube channel, try it. And I think I owe you an explanation of why we are being so hardline on this. A lot of people talk about freedom of speech. A lot of people talk about the ability to just say whatever they want and have no consequences. But as many philosophers have talked about over the years, you cannot be completely pro say whatever you want without there being consequences. And being tolerant of intolerance is a problem. So if you are tolerant of someone doing something that is overtly aligned with, through history, Nazism and other nasty stuff, that is not okay. You know, in Germany, doing something like that would get you in a lot of trouble. And I think it shouldn't be allowed over here either. And we, as a community, have lots of people who had they been alive in the 1930s and 1940s, would have been sent to unmentionable places and never returned. And it would be abhorrent for us to pretend that what was a carbon copy of a salute that is performed in newsreels is anything other than what it appears to be. Many people are saying, oh yes, but Elon Musk is autistic or has Asperger's, and he doesn't know. And my answer to that is, you don't get to be the world's richest man. You don't get to be someone with such influence and then excuse all of your bad mistakes by saying, oh, but I am, ... I have many friends who are autistic. I myself am about to be tested for it. And I don't know a single one of them who would use a diagnosis that they may have received as an excuse for bad behavior. In fact, every one of them I know would be mortified if that were used as an excuse against them. So just because you have a particular diagnosis doesn't excuse bad behavior. I'm sorry. I know that sounds... Actually, no, I'm not sorry. No, I'm not. That was a British I'm sorry, which is often very insincere. And I am not sorry. That is our policy. If you like it, great. If you don't, well, show yourself the door. We here are about building a cleaner, greener, safer, smarter, and more equitable world. And that means for everybody, not just the wealthy, not just those with privilege, everyone. And if we allow things in our community that make minorities feel threatened, feel less, then we're not doing our job properly. We are creating a safe place. And right now, the world is so heavily caught up in hyperbole and blame gaming and scapegoating that people who should be fairly targeted as not doing the right thing for the future or for the society are steamrolling people who are actually doing really good things by calling them woke or calling them DEI. And we need, as a community, to reclaim those terms, reclaim the goodness that they stood for, and not allow this hate and ridiculous showboating to dictate our future. Because we only have one planet, we only have one life, and we have to live it in our best possible way. And in order for us as a team at Transport Evolved to continue to make good content, we are removing the toxic assholes. That's about as much as I'm going to say on the matter. So, what's going to happen next with the bike? Well, a lot. I need to remove all of these panels. I need to repair some of them. There's a few scrapes that I'd like to do. If you are in the Portland area and you know someone who specializes in paintwork for fairing, please let me know, because I'd quite like to get this repainted. I think that would be fun. I'd quite like to get the seats redone. I also need to probably replace a lot of the brake components. My rear brake is spongy. Even though I bled the brakes, when I took this all apart and flushed the brakes, they felt spongy. And of course, hopefully, the bike will be back on the road for the summer. That's my goal. But there is one final thing. And that's this. It's a kickstand, well, it's a centre stand for a Vectrix VX-1. It's basically a pattern stand made by a group of enthusiasts in Spain. It needs to be powder coated. There's a nice powder coating specialist here in Portland that will do it for me for relatively low cost. That goes kind of here on the bike, and it means that I will be able to lift the rear wheel up and work on the rear wheel without using the fancy lift arrangement that I'd previously used. It also means that the bike doesn't necessarily have the same risk of falling over. I've actually dropped this bike off the side stand before, and a centre stand, you have 2 points of contact in the ground. It's much harder to drop the bike if it's on the centre stand. So really excited about putting this on. And that will be a future project, probably about the same time that I put this all back together. Now, if you want to support the project, of course, you can become a Patreon member. There are links in the down below. You can also send us Bitcoin. You can send us Ko-fi, one-off donation. You can even send us a check. But the final thing I want to talk to you about is the final way you can support the channel, and that is through affiliate links. Now, we have, in our history, shied away from affiliate links. And that's because we don't want to force people to buy things from a particular place. Don't really like it, never really have. And I want to be clear that while we are starting an Amazon affiliate program, I know, I'll explain all in a second, we're not going to recommend stuff. We're just going to say, hey, use our affiliate link if you want to buy something. A link doesn't mean an endorsement, but you can support the channel. And I'm going to explain how it works. So I didn't realize, I was kind of ignorant about the fact, but Amazon's had this affiliate link program for a really long time. And with its affiliate link program, Amazon sets a certain percentage of the product price to go towards either the affiliate, the person who had the affiliate link that the customer followed, or directly to Amazon. And okay, that doesn't necessarily sound too bad, but then if there isn't an affiliate link, Amazon pockets, I think it's 3%. So Amazon gets that 3% extra money in its coffers instead of sending it to the affiliate. And I've been talking to a lot of content creators lately, and you can make a decent amount of money from affiliates. And I'm going to be clear here and say, I do not recommend you use Amazon. If you would like to buy something, go and find a local shop. Go and buy local, support a local business, do it locally. But if you're unable to do that and you can't find a mom and pop store nearby and you can't find a store online and you end up going to Amazon, which is something that happens to me time and again, and I know it happens to other people time and again, I would much rather someone uses the Amazon affiliate link and sends the profit, that 3% to us, than to Jeff Bezos, because he's rich enough. I mean, you saw him at the inauguration, right? He's doing fine. So we're going to launch an affiliate program initially in the US. I think it will roll out to other places. I still need to figure out exactly how it works, but the hope is that we can use the affiliate program to gap some of the money that we're losing from YouTube, because YouTube's ad revenue has fallen off a cliff. YouTube went from putting in way too many adverts to basically none. And our ad revenue for January is under $1,000, which is not sustainable. When we first started, we were getting 7,000 or 8,000 a month in YouTube ad revenue, which is what enabled me to expand the company and bring more people on board. Now it's primarily Patreon support, and we would like to have other income streams, because I know Patreon has been doing stuff lately that I'm not particularly happy about. And so we need to transition. We need to transition and diversify our revenue models so that we can keep bringing you content like this, so we can keep doing projects. So follow the links down below. I'll whack them in, and hopefully we can make the world a better place together. Anyway, if you are affected by President Trump's executive orders, I want you to know that you're not on your own. I've been caught between rage and fear, and had a lot of ADHD rage lately, where people ask me a question and I'm suddenly just like full infernal rage and I don't know why. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for hugs from friends and family, and it's okay to seek out support, and you don't have to deal with this on your own. And it's also okay to be angry, and when someone tries to gaslight you, to call them on it, which is why we're coming out with a policy that we have. There's only so many times you can turn a blind eye to, I'm going to swear, shitty behaviour and sweep it under the rug. And if you are someone who is excusing that shitty behaviour, I think you need to look hard into your soul and figure out what's really important to you. Because I've learned a lot about people that I thought were supportive allies and might not be. But I've also learned that people I didn't think were allies are amazing. Anyway, normal service will resume, and there'll be more on this really soon.
Thanks for joining me today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are part of the massive community of fans around the world that help fund this channel through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and making sure that we can remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. We now have new Patreon tiers that support a wide range of donation amounts, ranging from $1.50 US a month, or if you'd prefer, about $15 a year. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: Carol Bulawa, Anna Atamelodian, Scott Wilson, Obi-Wan, Merrick Hurst, Smokey Lothar, Falafel Kosa, J01, Gary, Christopher, Randall Astaro, and Dimitri. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame. And remember, you can now gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll also find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have a good old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at. Address you'll also find below. And if you're in need of some swag, our TE swag store is also linked. So we can focus on making our content even better this year and reduce team burnout, we're switching our release days to Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on our main channel, and if you like something a little more laid back at the weekend, over on Take 2 you'll find a release there on a Sunday. Transport Evolved is going through some pretty big changes this year though, so keep your eyes and ears peeled as we have some more exciting ways you can support us and more exciting ways to interact with us coming very soon. If you want more, the mighty algorithm thinks you'll like this video, but we also think that this one is well worth